guys, so for today's video, I will be reading Dollar Tree books. I feel like nobody really buys Dollar Tree books, or like I've never seen anybody buy them, so I was really curious. And so actually, whenever I was buying these, the guy that was checking me out was like, "Books? We don't get those often." I was just like, but I just really wanted to know, like, are they really that much worse? Like, does the cost of a book actually determine how bad the book actually is? Like, why are they only $1? For books, we have Awayland by Romana Osubel. I probably butchered that name. I'm very sorry. And then we have The Game of Hope by Sandra Guland. And then we have Rule by Ellen Goodlett. And then for our fourth book, I will be reading All of Our Wrong Todays by Elon Mostai. Most of the books that are at my Dollar Tree are children's books, so I didn't have like a huge selection when it came to trying to find these books. So today we're going to start with reading Rule. This book is the one that I am the most excited for. The main concept of this book is that the king is dying and his only heir has just been murdered. But it turns out that he has three hold up. Illegitimate. Oh, I promise I'm not. He has three illegitimate children, and they're all girls, and apparently they all have like stuff going on in the past that they don't want coming out, and they have to basically decide who gets the throne next. And they're all kind of worried that like all these secrets that have come up in the past, that somebody's going to find out about them, and then they can't rule. So I'm like, oh, excited. It's a new take on an old book trope. So it's kind of like The Chosen One, but not really, because there's three. Also, I have no idea how to pronounce any of these names, considering I didn't even know how to pronounce illegitimate. Illegitimate. There we go. This lighting. It's fine. So the children are Sophie, Azalea, and Ren. Okay, I know how to do Ren for sure. Each chapter is through each daughter's perspective, so like you really don't have that, like, I feel like most books that are like Chosen One, or like they're going up against trying to get to that one thing, they're kind of always told in like the first perspective, so you know who is going to get it. But this one, like, you are going to be able to see all three, so it really is kind of like, you don't know. You are in the same boat as the girls, so. So I've officially finished reading my Dollar Tree books. I'm I'm a little confused. I thought I was gonna hate all these books. Turns out I only hated one of them. Which one? This one. All Are Wrong Today's was just... it fell flat. The writing wasn't great. They literally told us everything. The author... I feel like the author just thinks that the reader is stupid. Is that harsh? I don't know, but it's the truth. If somebody was happy, he would write, he was happy. Like, there was no trying to figure out anything. It's about a guy that works as a scientist under his dad, who his dad basically hates him. His dad basically only had him because his mom was bored and wanted a friend. He falls in love with one of his co-workers, and basically after a one-night stand, she gets pregnant and can no longer be a chronaut, which is like their form of astronaut. And so, since she can no longer be a chronaut, she decides that she's going to basically have an abortion. The author tells us multiple times that he is not smart and that he is not a good writer, and I'm like, clearly we can see this, but the main character is totally distraught over losing Penelope, which is the girl that ends up pregnant, that he gets into the time traveling machine and decides to time travel himself, where one scientist has discovered how to create energy based off the rotation of the planets instead of like using electricity and all that. It's basically renewable energy that's way better than all this that we have right now. He goes back to the day where he first turns on the machine to do this, create this energy, and he sees like the whole meeting that happens, which in the original meeting, they end up dying a few days later, all the scientists and the people that are like watching this project happen. But whenever he goes back, they notice him, and since he time traveled back, he's invisible while he is time traveling back, and they don't realize until after they turn the machine on that there's another person in the room. But that person is also radiating a bunch of other energy that basically makes the machine go to hard drive and messes it up. And so instead of them all dying, they all live, and everything is changed. This was even before he was born, so the universe has made it to where he still is born with the same parents, but he also has a sister. His parents actually love him. His sister is cool. I don't know. His family actually loves him, and this he's not exactly like living in the he is in present time, but in a different dimension. It's really hard to explain this book, actually, now that I'm... So, in this dimension, his family actually loves him. He has a sister. He's an architect instead of a scientist, and he's the person that was in his body before remembers all of the buildings and stuff that was in his world. He had dreams about him. So he had dreams about his world, and so he tried writing stories about the original man, and he tries making stories about the original man, but he ends up becoming an architect and making buildings that actually look like the buildings from the other man's world into this new. But he's like fighting conscience with him, and he's not a good dude, but like he has a better life and everybody's scared of him. One world he's hated, and the other world everybody is scared of him, basically. But he ends up having, obviously, to turn back time for the better of society. But also, there are some messed up things that happen in the book, I will warn you. The original guy's name is Tom. I think the other one's John. The original guy's name is Tom, and I believe the guy that he takes over his body is John. But John ends up trying to... John basically tries to take over... John basically tries to take his body over from Tom again, and he succeeds in doing it for a little while at least. And he does some pretty bad stuff. He ends up raping his girlfriend and having sex with one of his other co-workers. But there's just like... I gave this book a 1 star. I did not like it. It was not my cup of tea. It just... I feel like it could have been cool if it was written different and like there wasn't rapey scenes. I don't know. I don't like it. And I would not recommend it, honestly. The book that I was the most surprised about in these that I read was The Game of Hope, which is about Napoleon Bonaparte's stepdaughter, Hortense. She goes to an all-girls school, and she's like very smart. The only like thing I have that's like riff with this book is that she's basically the perfect person, which is kind of boring. I know she's probably trying to keep it as historically accurate. It was based upon the letters that Hortense wrote to all of her family. The letter she actually included into the storyline, which is great. I felt like I learned a lot about the Terror and Napoleon's reign that I just didn't really know about before. Hortense's actual father is beheaded during the Terror, which causes her to have a lot of nightmares, and pretty much all the girls in the boarding school suffer from PTSD from like the Terror. There's one scene where somebody comes in and it's like banging on the door, and it's like midnight or something, and they all start freaking out. And Caroline, which is Napoleon's little sister, she's about the same age as Hortense. She wasn't around during the Terror, and so she's like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong? Like, why are y'all freaking out? And she didn't even know that Hortense's real father was beheaded. So, I also, like, I thought that there was going to be more of a love story. And they have, like, cute little moments here and there. But then at the end, the author puts in a little, like, what actually happened after, like, the story takes place. And they don't even end up together. I was like, that's so sad. She actually ends up with her stepdad's brother. Marries him so that if they have a child, that it can like continue the lineage, and so they can take up for the monarchy. We don't even meet like the love interest, which I expected it to be more about romance, because it's talking about how she's come of age and like her mom wants her to start looking for a husband. But we don't even meet him until like halfway through. But with that being said, I do actually love it. Normally I am more of a romance reader, so this was like a kind of, it had a hint of it, which normally I hate a hint of romance, you know? I'd rather have full on, but I like this. Okay, so my camera just died on me, so I do want to say the Game of Hope title is in reference to like tarot card almost. It's this game of cards that she's given that basically is like tarot cards where you can kind of see your future, where you're going, and it seems to work out for her because they're pretty accurate. But I just wanted to end this book off with this one quote. Give you some dating advice if you really want some. Very important. It's from The Rules of Courtship, which is the book that her mom gives, her mom or her grandma gives her whenever she's like, has to start thinking about dating and romance. But there's only 5 types of touching that is permitted. 1, he puts a shawl around your shoulders. 2, he helps you into a horse. 3, he helps you into a carriage. 4, he helps you climb stairs. 5, he takes your arm through his to support you at walking. If only Christopher would look at me. So, you little heathens out there that are holding hands, no, it's not allowed. Continue on. We have Awayland, which was kind of odd. I'm not gonna lie. I liked the writing, but I feel like some of the stories could have been left out. It's a bunch of little stories about mythology and modern society kind of going together-ish. If you like the show Black Mirror, you might like this, because it kind of gives me those vibes. I would recommend this, but also I feel like some of the stories just didn't hit the nail on the mark for me, like, but others were fabulous. So, Rule is a pretty good book, I'm not gonna lie. At times I was like, this kind of reminds me of Wattpad in the way that it's not very unique. Like, it has a unique ending, and I feel like it goes about it. Lighting change. I feel like it goes about the story in like a unique way, but also like I knew who the person blackmailing was the whole time. Rule is about 3 girls as they try to get the crown. They just found out that they are the illegitimate children of a king, and the king is dying, and his only heir that everybody knew about before was just killed. But each of the girls have secrets that they don't want to come out, but somehow somebody found out about them. Sophie is the one that killed the previous prince, and then Akelia is the one that is currently killing the king with illegal magic, because she thought that she was killing her abusive father, which actually turned out not to be her blood. It was before she knew that the king was actually her father. Ren unknowingly caused over 1,000 deaths. So casually to say that. She didn't physically kill them, but she is one of the reasons that the rebellion got the coordinates of their ships, and so they are the ones that actually killed them. But like, she's still a little guilty. Like, it wouldn't have happened if she did not fall in love with this guy that tricked her. But there is a twist at the end, which I was like, there's no way that the book is ending right now, because there's still like 20 pages left. I should have known. There was a twist at the end, and there's a second book. I will be reading the second book though. And with that is all 4 books that I read from Dollar Tree. And they're not small. I mean, one of them is like kind of small-ish, but they're big boys. I don't really understand why some of these are at the Dollar Tree. Like, if they just, because they are good quality. Like, I expected Dollar Tree books to be not as well written, I'm not gonna lie. I just assumed that there was a reason that they were at Dollar Tree. I would highly recommend these 3 books. Rule is great if you are in a reading slump and then you just need something easy to read just to get you out of that reading slump. Highly recommend for fantasy lovers like me. And then I also recommend Awayland because it's cute little stories. Like, you can finish them in one sitting. Like, they do not take long if you really want to get into reading. This one would be a great one. And then, if you just want to know about history, or like slight romance, or like a friendship novel, to be completely honest, The Game of Hope is great. I don't recommend this book. I'm sorry. I wish I could. Which, this one normally, like, dystopias normally are right down my alley. So I was really shocked that I did not really care for this. It makes me sad, but... Well, that's the end of today's video. And just a quick reminder to go out there. Get reading. What are you doing? Go read. You have a TBR pile. I know you do. If you're reading this, if you're watching this video, I know that you probably read. Therefore, you have a TBR pile to get to. Go read. Why are you here? Go. But also, don't knock some Dollar Tree books if you want a cheap read. Bye, guys.